Do you want to keep chasing more, or do you want to stop doing the stuff that's going to hurt you long term?
How to grow in efficiency, how to grow closer to the life that you really want to live.
Is this a transactional business or a relational business? If it's a transactional business, then maybe it can be scaled at an exponential rate. If it's a relationship-based business, it's not something we're 10xing overnight. Is this idea of first you optimize, then you maximize? And what I realized was I went to business school, I got some business degrees, did some stuff, did a bunch of things in the corporate space, and then I became a full-time entrepreneur. I guess I've always been an entrepreneur, but actually full-time at that. And it took me almost a decade to realize that everything I learned in business school was the wrong orientation. You learn in business school how to work for a Fortune 500 company. And if you work for a Fortune 500 company, you just have one job. CEO just has one job, and it's a fiduciary responsibility: maximize shareholder value. That's their job. Yeah. Maximize is about having the most. So you got to have the most revenue, most clients, most everything, right? And they can do that to some extent because they have the resources. And that's what I learned in business school, all these techniques. Yeah. But as a small business owner, you have to optimize. What's the most efficient path forward towards your main priority? And that orientation is just totally different. And once I realized I need to be optimizing instead of maximizing, I started to realize, well, yeah, it's no wonder that clients ask me to build them budgets and all these other things, and then they never look at them because those are tools built for big companies. There's a different approach for small businesses. Yeah. So it's that sort of frame shift that kind of unlocked everything that I'm doing now.
So good. I didn't take any business classes in college. I wish I would have, but I probably would have, learned similar to what you're saying there. Like, it's all about maximizing how to just grow your revenue and just like hire more employees. And that's actually what I thought early on in my business. I'm like reading, all about Steve Jobs and Apple, and I'm reading Delivering Happiness book, and just all these business books, of these like massive companies and really good principles, and just assuming that this is the trajectory of my video production company. Like you take it a step at a time, hire your first employee, then you double in size, then you keep making more money. And so for a long time, I just had this vision that I just need to keep like growing and growing. Well, today, like, this show is really meant to serve in a way that you're kind of sharing here on like how to optimize, how to grow in profitability, how to grow in efficiency, how to grow closer to the life that you really want to live, which I think you just did such an awesome job outlining. And I just love the challenge of just stopping where you're at and really trying to think and get clarity on what is it that you really want, so that you can rig the game to get what it is that you really want, instead of just feeling this pressure to like keep growing, keep getting bigger, hire more teammate, getting a studio. Like, it's just like, it's what Ryan did, so like that's what I got to do too, or it's what so and so does, and that's what success is, I guess.
Seeing almost everybody following the same trajectory. And so I write from the experience of what I went through, but then recognizing almost everyone else going through that same thing of constantly chasing more, and then finding themselves thinking they made it, and then 3 months later, 6 months later, in a worse off position than they were before, because their business isn't necessarily built to 10x. So I have one of the businesses, an accounting firm, and I was trying to 10x. I read all those 10x type books. And then I realized one day, what if I wanted to 10x my friendships? They would blow up, right? It's like my best friends. I've always had like a really close group of like 3 or 4 friends that are like my close friends. And what if I tried to 10x friendships? Well, the close friendships would probably kind of go away because they would feel forgotten, perhaps. Yeah. Right. It would be very difficult to do in a very short-term horizon. So to take that thought exercise and then apply it to a business, well, a service-based business is a relationship-based business, and we're trying to 10x these relationship-based businesses in a short period of time, and they blow up consistently because you can't really 10x relationships like in a short-term horizon. Yeah. And that was this frame shift to realize, like, okay, is this a transactional business or a relational business. If it's a transactional business, then maybe it can be scaled at an exponential rate. If it's a relationship-based business, it's not something we're 10xing overnight. It can be a very consistent, reliable business that will provide for us and allow us to fund all of our dreams. Most likely, it's just over a long-term horizon. Yeah. So don't try to make that something it's not. Find something else if you want the 10x experience. Find something else that's more transactional. Just don't count on that being reliable for a long time. And so I started starting these other businesses outside of the accounting firm because they were my unreliable, maybe that will 10x, like software business. Maybe that will, but it's going to be unreliable for a long time. And just let my CPA firm business be what it is and be profitable and maintain the lifestyle and not keep creating all these problems.
I want to change the narrative here. And I want us to think through, like, what would it mean to not 10x our friendships, but like, what if we could like deepen the depth of those relationships? What if we could 10x our efficiency? Like, just become 10 times more effective working on the things that we should be working on versus like, how do I find more time to do more things because I just got to do more and more?
One, I like whenever we can invert common wisdom. So you take the pre-wired idea of 10x, people already have this notion of, and then you invert it to mean something else. So I'll put what you're suggesting in my own language. I think about it as eliminating downside. So we spend so much time constantly chasing, and we're wired for this via dopamine. Dopamine is the molecule of more. We're wired to just more revenue, more clients, just that maximizing. But what if we can just eliminate all the downsides, all the things so becoming more efficient, that's like raising the floor. So we get rid of all the bad stuff. We don't need more clients all of a sudden. We don't need all this other stuff because we eliminate all the waste. Now we have more resources, time, more influence, maybe more money, energy, reputation, all these different currencies that we can reallocate to whatever it is we're trying to get closer to. And that's where I just want to add this, that people who are listening to this, you all already have, and sometimes I talk like I'm from the South, even though I'm from Seattle. You all already have I don't know why. You all already have the answers, right? You already know this. It's simple, it's just not easy, right? So you already know, hey, if I stop doing this, the consequence. And so there's a choice, which is, do you want to keep chasing more or do you want to stop doing the stuff that's going to hurt you long term? That's a gut check.